Hi, my name is Major Tim Williford. I'm the Corps Officer at the St. Augustine Corps down in St. Johns County. And I'd just like to share with you a couple of my assistant stories from this past holiday season. The first started when we found out about this family that their stove wasn't working. They had some problems during the hurricane. They came to us for assistance. And so because of that, we found out their stove wasn't working. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to surprise them with a new stove for Thanksgiving. So they came to pick up their turkey and all the trimmings, and so we said to them, "Where are you going to be cooking your Thanksgiving meal?" And they said, "Well, we're not really sure. We haven't cooked it in our own house in the last 6 years. Our stove hasn't worked for a year. We've been going to our mom's, but she's out of town, so we're not really sure as to where we're going to cook it." So we said, "Well, why don't you cook it on your stove?" And they said, "Well, because our stove doesn't work." And I said, "Well, why don't you cook it on your brand new stove?" And she just kind of looked at me. I was kind of like, "What?" And I said, "Yes, Diane went and picked a stove out for you. I went and picked it up this morning, and then tomorrow at noon, Chip and I are going to come by and we're going to deliver your new stove and we're going to install it for you, and that way you'll be able to cook Thanksgiving lunch in your own home on your own brand new stove." And so both the wife and the husband, they both started crying. They were so grateful. And we actually saw them later at the Angel Tree distribution, and they were still just like raving over this new stove they have. So that was a really cool thing. One of the other interesting things that we had happen was I was driving kettle workers out to the kettles one day. We had a gentleman, he's like in his late 20s, early 30s. He's a military veteran, but he's had a couple of accidents, and so he had some brain damage from that. And then he's developed this disease that is kind of slowly eating away his brain. And so we were talking to him one day as I was driving out, and he said, "Oh, I can't wait to get paid this Friday." And I said, "Well, why is that?" Because, and I figured he would be talking about the newest video game that he was going to get. He said, "Well, when I get paid, we're going to be able to buy a propane tank because we don't have any hot water in our house. Our propane's out, and we just go down to Lowe's and just get little propane tanks." And so I asked him, I said, "Well, why don't you have like the big bottle, like from the Southern Gas or whatever?" And he said, "Well, someone stayed with us and they ran up a huge bill, and we can't afford to pay it." So I had Diane call, and it was only $150 that they were in arrears for. So we paid the $150, and then we put another $200 worth of propane. I just couldn't see having this gentleman, this military veteran, standing out in the cold, ringing bells for me, and thinking about him taking cold showers. That just didn't equate in my mind. I had another guy that was ringing bells, and again, same scenario, taking him out to ring bells. He says, "Hey, I can't wait to get paid this Friday." And I'm like, "Well, what are you going to get?" And so he lifted up his shoe and he showed me where he had huge holes in his shoes. And he says, "When I get paid, I'm going to go to the outlet mall and buy a new pair of shoes." He said, "The only thing is I don't know how I'm going to get out there." So I said to him, "Well, what size shoe do you wear?" And he said, "Major, it's been so long since I've had new shoes, I don't really know." So I said, "Well, give me a range." He said, 9, 9.5, 10. So I went out to the outlet mall and I bought him two pairs of Nikes. I asked him what color he wanted, what name, what style, whatever. He said, "Just as long as it's black, that's all I care." And so I bought a pair of 9s and a pair of 9.5s. And so Saturday when I picked him up from the kettles and I got him back to the Corps, I said, "I've got something for you." And I gave him his brand new shoes. Now for me, I put brand new shoes on like that. I mean, I'm going to wear them out of the store if I can, and just pay for them, as I leave. So I hand Nick his shoes, and I said, "Listen, you can take your old shoes and throw them in the dumpster." He said, "Oh no," he said, "I'm not going to wear these new shoes until I go back to work on Monday." So even though it was raining, he still walked out of the building that night, with shoes with holes in them, just to make sure that his new shoes were clean and ready to go. We figured out that he didn't really have a place to stay. And we also hired another kettle worker that was also homeless. And so we've arranged for some temporary housing for them. And now we're really excited because through some rapid rehousing opportunities, we think that we're going to be able to secure a place for them. We think that we'll be able to get a little place for them and spend up to $6,000, $3,000 apiece on getting these guys off the streets and become more of a part of society, and to live a more dignified life than just living in the woods or sleeping at the end of a shopping center. So these were some of my great holiday experiences and memories from 2017. Thank you so much for listening.